Hello YouTube, time to play some Doom Snapmap today. I've got a subscriber recommended map here. This is Psychotron by myself, and I'm not normally one to play through my own maps, not that there's anything wrong with that, but this was recommended by BAD Fluppy, so Mr. Fluppy, this playthrough is for you. Before I go ahead and get this fired up, there's something rather important I want to talk about that's been bothering me. So I was listening to one of my playthroughs, actually my last playthrough, on Devil City Ransom. Good map, by the way. Check it out. I was listening to my playthrough, and I noticed I was saying something that really didn't make a whole lot of sense, which was I was talking about how I was upset that it was like my third time trying to record the video, and you know, I was annoyed that you weren't gonna get to see my initial reaction, and then I started going into this kind of a rant about how, you know, first reactions are, you know, very important, and you know, you can convey a lot of good information from watching somebody's first reaction. But then I went on to say that, oh no, nobody in the Snapmap community fully appreciates, you know, just how important it's so, and it's you know, it's so underrated, and really, I mean, that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense now that I went back and listened to it, because for one thing, it's just not true. There's a ton of people out there who subscribe to channels just because they want to get the audio commentary of the first time playthrough. So for me to say that it's, you know, it's so highly undervalued by everybody in this, I mean, that just didn't make any sense at all. I mean, if that was the case, I should just shut my channel down now, because that's all I do. So I don't know why I said it that way. It's obviously not true. But I wanted to take this time to sort of walk back those statements and just sort of, you know, formally retract it, because quite frankly it made no sense. So that having been said, let's continue on with this map. Here we go. And there's the dropship that you see for all the 5 seconds. Opening bay doors. Yeah, there's actually, those 4 spots could have each had a different person in them. And then they all drop sequentially. And they all scream too. It's funny, I didn't actually want to have that scream in there. It's just something that my girlfriend thought was funny, so I ended up putting it in. Yeah, this part start off pretty weakened. This is actually one of the hardest parts of the level, is just this very beginning, because you have such little health, and because you don't have very much speed. You gotta worry about these guys. But if you can survive like the first couple of minutes, you're generally, you know, gonna be okay. Just that initial landing. know you can't be hurt by your own airstrike. I know it doesn't technically make a lot of sense that you can't, but it's one of those things where you've got to choose gameplay over realism, because that would just really screw up the gameplay. And I'd say that's good advice for any time you ever do anything with a video game. If you have to choose between making it realistic and making it fun, always choose making it fun. The realism is just something that's sort of secondary. Because honestly, the realism isn't even really that important. You know, if people wanted real life, they'd just go outside and chop wood or something, right? It needs to be just realistic enough to sort of ground it so that you have a conception of what's happening, but it doesn't need to be, you know... Alright, it's about time to start fighting some Cyclotron's generals. And this is where you probably want to grab the Zerk. Take these guys out pretty quick. And then the warp gate opens up. Yep, there's the memorandum. Gonna go grab a secret. Ding. Gives me an extra 10,000 points. Yeah, it's important though. When I did the, whenever I do the cutscenes for opening the warp gates, I always activate an AI iterator that kills off all the AI. So like in case, let's just say like there were still a bunch of enemies out here when I killed off those bosses, that they don't actually start killing me during the cutscene. Just little things like that that you gotta kind of be mindful of. Alrighty. Oh yeah. This area is interesting. Honestly, like some of these buildings, like that building and this building, were actually all taken from a different module that I ended up scrapping because it, you know, I ended up making the Cyber City instead. So I took those buildings and dragged them into this module. But I'll explain a lot of that later on. I'm just going to go ahead and continue. It's funny with those airlifts, that one I just went through, it automatically will turn you around so that you're facing the right direction when you go through it. It's so funny because, oh, too fast here. It's funny because in most of the videos I've seen of people playing it, they'll assume that they're going to come out of it facing backwards, so they'll try to spin around, and what will end up happening is they'll end up spinning out backwards anyway because they didn't know that they were going to come out facing forward. Pretty funny. And I put this in here for anybody who wanted it. You can actually see what the upgrade logic is here. I had the, you know, it took me a few playthroughs to tweak it to just get the right science on it. So it used to be, you know, I just had everything set to max, and then it kind of got a little bit too easy. But I did want the speed set to max, because speed is really what this level's all about. And you can upgrade to a better rocket launcher. Shotgun. I started out player with the shotgun and the, what is it? sort of the shotgun that launches the explosive rounds, and the rocket launcher, and the chain gun, because I wanted them to have weapons that had explosive elements to them, so that when you're going up on these jumps, you can rain down explosives on your enemies. And this is what I was talking about. Hold on. Okay, so this is the best part of the map right here. Just raining down rockets on your enemies. It is the most satisfying thing. Let's do it again. Let's try with this thing. Oop. I love the airstrikes. Alright. Yeah, so this is one of the sort of dynamics that I haven't really seen anyone do yet, is sort of take advantage of this lift to rain down rockets on the enemies, which is, for anyone who is kind of wondering why I had it like that, it wasn't actually meant to be used as an elevator to take you to those upper levels. It was just sort of meant to, whoops, nope, I guess I'm up here now. Yeah, it was just meant as a way to launch you up into the air so that you could, sort of rain down hellfire on your enemies, and that's, for me, that's pretty satisfying. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, and you don't actually get points for the guys who get airstriked. Because it is an environmental damage, so it doesn't actually count as your kill. I mean, technically it's the guy flying the bomber who's killing these guys. You're just telling him that you want him to shoot. But I never get tired of doing that. Oh, I would just love raining down rockets on people. It's like the best thing ever. Bomb time. So the way the bombs work is there's an invisible hazard that's just this big block, and anyone sort of near the bombs is going to take damage, but then the individual explosions, like the accumulator and the barrel explosion, those will do either, like, you know, 3,000 to 7,000 damage, depending on which one they hit. So if you get an enemy that just happens to get hit by one of those little explosions, they're going to take a ton of damage. But most of the time, they don't happen to be in the perfect spot to actually get hit by it. Oh goodness. Oh, I think one of those guys got hit by something. I'm getting a little weak. So you can't use that airlift to sort of air control your way around the map, especially when you get your speed all upgraded. Actually, speaking about, oh, never mind. I already went up in the tower and grabbed the armor chip. Did I take out all three of them? Wow. But you know what? I don't think I grabbed the secret. Hold on. Let's do that real quick. I love how I can just fly up to the tower. It's so funny. Yep, right underneath the satellite dish. And a fine satellite dish it is. Alright, let's take care of this last dude. I like these guys. They're kind of modeled after the little loaders from my Aliens map, except I just put them on a giant wheel. Alright, I'm gonna take care of this guy. Whoops. And yes, the Hangar 18 was reference to a Megadeth song. And actually, I used to have two of these tanks right here. It was, you know, that tank there, and then another one right here where this mech is standing. But actually, I found out that the mech takes up a lot less memory because the mech has fewer parts, because of all of these little tank treads on the tank that actually just chew up a ton of memory. So I was like, I'll just, instead of doing two tanks, I'll just do a tank and a mech. Sky bridge. There we go. And that friendly mech actually does a ton of damage with his lasers. If you can actually manage to get somebody to walk into him. Yeah, like he just took out that Spectre. tank, you just will walk into it. Oh. Well, it's not really a good idea to hang out right there anyway, because actually, if that friendly mech can actually be blown up, surprisingly, I haven't seen anybody do it. But if you just try to hide behind him throughout the whole level, he actually will get blown up eventually, and then he won't give you his awesome cores that allow you to get the DFG. Oh, bye. One of the things I love doing in this level is like selecting my weapon wheel in the middle of a fight, just because there's so much crazy stuff going on and it slows down the time. I don't know. It's just one of those things that's cool to look at. Like right now. See all those crazy little rockets flying around. Okay. Enough fooling around. Yeah, no fooling around. We're playing games. It's time to get serious. Yes, we're here to play games. No fooling around. Launch up. That's really the key to this level. You want to keep launching off that airlift there, and then just rain down. Actually, speaking of that, launch an airstrike. Oh. So before this level was sort of styled the way it is, it was a, I don't know. I can't even describe it. It was this thing that had like a big donut on the ceiling where you would just sort of run around in circles on the ceiling and sort of use your speed and momentum to like keep you from falling down. But it just didn't, you know, it was just, I just decided to get rid of it because it just seemed kind of screwy. So I decided to go with the Cyber City theme instead, and that's what I was sort of talking about earlier with some of those buildings getting moved out because, you know, they just didn't really fit. But I moved them into the first level, and they actually look more appropriate there. I tried to do the best I could to make all of these different modules seem different. In fact, if you want to really see what the inspiration for this level was, go back and watch my review of 1500 Snap Hell in a Cell, which is basically the same thing as this level. I mean, it's basically you're just, you know, fighting guys, a million guys, and you're getting all these upgrades, and you're, you know, going 1,000 miles an hour. But the only thing was, you know, some people say that they don't like how this level is just like you're going from box to box, but that level really was you're just going from box to box. I mean, like, the modules didn't have any design to them at all. It was just basically these empty modules that you were just running around in. And in my review of that map, I talked about how it was a good. I really liked the idea of it, but I felt like it really needed. You really needed to put the player in some more detailed arenas to sort of make it a little more interesting. So, you know, I kind of just eventually thought, like, well, why don't I just do it? I mean, it was the same thing with my Aliens map. You know, I was playing another map that was an Aliens map, and I was thinking, like, oh, you know, it's too dark, and it's got this problem, and it's, you know, this thing I don't like, and that thing I don't like. And then I kind of thought to myself, why don't I just make an Aliens level that I do like? So I did. So, you know, maybe somebody will see this level and they'll think, you know, I don't like this, and I don't like how this neon city is so damn dark, so I'm gonna, you know, do it better. And I say, go for it. Alright, now here's where you really want to use the friendly mech to your advantage. Start luring those barons in here, and they just get totally torn up by the lasers. I mean, look at that, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Because he survived, get a little reward. Yeah. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but the floor is actually slightly purple. Why? Because it looked cool. That's the only reason. Okay. There we go. Yeah, it a lot of this map design was just, does it look cool? Okay. Like this whole area. Well, what are all these triangles floating up here? What is that glowing cue ball about? It looked cool at the time, so I did it. Alright. Let's get out of here. Psychotron, I got something for you.
You cannot defeat us.
The best thing to do here is just take a fast weapon and just go for it.
Too weak.
The BFG is really just sort of for clearing out the little enemies when they start to swarm you. But really, you're better off using just like a plasma gun or something just to like get your damage in. But you can't do it for too long, or otherwise these guys sort of start to chip away at you. Yeah, anytime you hear him talk, that means he's about to do one of his little up the middle moves. I had it set so that, you know, he'll taunt you every time he's about to do that attack. Yep, there he goes again. And all of his moves are set up. All of his moves are set up randomly too. Each arm actually has its own random relay sequencer to it. So, ooh, you don't want to get stuck. You don't want to get hit by that, actually. Oh, geez, yeah. You don't want to get hit by his little laser there. That will really screw you up bad.
You are too weak. You will be slaves in the chaos.
There he goes. If I wanted to, I could have just sat in this area for a while with the BFG and racked up points. If I was really worried about, you know, scoring high on the leaderboard. I'm not going to vote on my own map. Hey, 4th place. Okay. So that was Psychotron by me. And yeah, it's what it is. Actually, you know, I think I'm gonna try to continue this. No, I'm just gonna talk about it. I was saying maybe I should continue this in the editor mode and kind of float around, but actually, you know what? Why not? I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll continue my dissertation in the editor mode here.